My name is Hakeem Jones, and I did my biome on the subtropical evergreen forest, which covers extensive areas of China, Japan, and disjunctive areas in southern hemisphere and much of the eastern United States as well. The subtropical evergreen forest biome has suffered significant changes to the land cover over time due to climate change and soil respiration of carbon pool sinkage and the deforestation for agricultural land over the last decade. Large tracts of the subtropical evergreen forest in many regions of South China has been slashed, burned, and subsequently transformed into secondary forest plantation or orchard plantation, sloping tillage land due to development of intensive labor exploitation and cash crop production. The typical climate of the subtropical evergreen forest is a monsoon climate characterized by hot and wet summers, and slightly cold and dry winters, and distinct to four seasons. It has an annual mean temperature of 64 degrees Fahrenheit and cannot operate in areas where the temperature reaches below 55 degrees Fahrenheit. The climate is monsoon throughout the year, with rainy summers receiving an annual rainfall of 100 centimeters to 300 centimeters of rain per year. The major drivers of the monsoon climate of the subtropical evergreen forest is caused by the intertropical convergence zone and causing the northeast trade winds and southeast trade winds to converge in low pressure zones, and also the Coriolis effect, deflecting trade winds, causing them to travel from sea to land, bringing moisture along as they move closer to the equator.
The subtropical evergreen forest biome has a four-layer canopy. The first layer will be the emerging
The
layer. It has a
subtropical
small
evergreen
number of very
forest biome
large
has a
trees that can grow as high
four-layer
as
canopy.
75
The
feet
first layer
tall.
is the
It can
emerging layer,
also
containing a
withstand hot
small number
temperatures
of
and strong
very large
winds.
trees that can
The next
grow
layer
as high
below
as
you have
75 feet tall and
is the
can withstand
canopy
hot
layer.
temperatures and
It's the
strong
primary
winds.
layer for
The
the
next
forest
layer below,
biome,
you have the
forming the roof
canopy
over the
layer, which is
remaining
the
two
primary
layers.
layer for the
It
forest
contains the
biome,
majority of the
and the roof over
largest
the
trees,
remaining
also
two
the
layers
area where
contains
dense
majority of the
biodiversity is
large trees,
located.
and
Then you
also
have
the
the
area where dense
understory layer.
biodiversity is
Consists of
located as
solid
well. Then
shade-tolerant
you have the
shrubs,
understory
herbs,
layer,
and small
consists of
trees, only able
shade-tolerant
to capture
shrubs, herbs,
5% of
and small
sunlight,
trees.
and home to many
Only
birds,
able
small
to capture
animals, insects, and
5% of
reptiles.
sunlight, and home to
And
many
then
birds,
finally, you
small
have the
mammals,
forest floor.
amphibians,
It's the
insects,
most bottom
reptiles.
layer, only receiving 2% of
The
sunlight
subtropical
and
evergreen
clear
forest has a
vegetation.
mountainous
The
landscape with steep
subtropical evergreen
convex slopes
forest
in
has a
China.
mountainous
It
landscape
covers
with
over
steep
61
convex
million
slopes,
acres of
which
land, in
covers
which
over
about 80%
61
of the
million
land,
acres of land in
61% is
China, and which
61
about
million
80%
acres of
is
land is
roughly
covered
occupied by
or
mountains and
occupied by
hilly upland
mountains or hilly
altitudes and
upland
extreme rugged mountains.
at high
The
altitudes and
main
extremely rugged
soils of
mountains.
the subtropical
The main
evergreen
soils of the
forest is mainly
subtropical evergreen
composed of
forest are
granite
mainly
and
composed of granite and
arenaceous shale.
arenaceous shale. The
The
upland
upland
soils
soils
are
relatively
relatively
shallow,
shallow hapalytic
hypolytic
love
love
soils.
soils.
The hot, damp
The
conditions of the
hot,
forest
damp
floor
conditions of
allows
the
for
forest
rapid
floor allows
decomposition of
for
dead plant
rapid
materials. This
decomposition
provides
of dead
plenty
plant
of
materials.
nutrients that are
This
easily
provides
absorbed by the plant
plentiful
roots.
nutrients that are
However,
easily
these
absorbed
are
by plant
nutrients that
roots.
are in high demand
However, these are nutrients that are in high
and
demand to the rainforest,
from the subtropical
and many
evergreen
fast
forest,
growing
and they
plants
do
do
not
not remain
remain
in
in
the
the
soil
soil
for
for
long.
long,
They
and they
stay
stay
close
close
to
to
the
the soil
surface of the
surface.
soil, and if
If
vegetation is
vegetation was
removed,
removed
so
from the
will
soil,
become quickly
quickly becomes
infertile and
infertile
vulnerable
and
to
vulnerable to
erosion.
erosion. The fauna of the subtropical evergreen forest has a widespread of biodiversity and high level of species richness in China. The animal species can vary from large to small mammals, reptiles, amphibians, birds, and insects. The flora-dominated tree species of the evergreen forest in China are mainly composed of oak, chestnut, birch, and cherry trees. There are also a variety of orchard, bamboo, creepers, and small leaf deciduous trees like poplar, willow, alder, shrubs, and wildflowers, conifers, larch, birch, and fir. The flora of the subtropical evergreen forest have adapted to reduce amount of sunlight from the canopy layers of thick broadleaf subtropical evergreen forest. The plants from the subtropical, the plants from the forest floor or understory layer can attach their roots to the largest of the plants and travel till it reaches the necessary daily nutrients. Many flora of the subtropical evergreen forests are able to grow away from riverbank swamps where dense undergrowth is not usually found. There is no vegetation on the forest floor because of low penetration sunlight. Uh, so many fauna have adapted to climbing trees for resources or by living off the deadly things they found on the floor or around on the laying around on trees. No vegetation on the floor makes it hard for prey to hide. from predators. So some animal species have not adapted to climbing or escaping from predators as well. It makes it easier for predators to catch their food. Many animal species from the evergreen forest, trees use trees for shelter and for travel as well. By hanging on to loose vines that are hanging around from the trees or from the top of the trees, and being able to travel from each canopy layer to get their necessary resources. The contemporary environmental issues that are affecting the subtropical evergreen forest biome are from human infrastructure of agriculture and commercial uses, the response of soil respiration to climate and land use change, is all extremely important for estimating and understanding the biome's ecosystem CO2 budget and to notice the global climate change as well. At mid latitudes, soil respiration showed a pronounced seasonal fluctuation and was mainly controlled by soil temperature. The reduction trend in soil respiration was observed by the following land use change called by climate change. This is decline of social availability and soil and carbon input and plant productivity shows that the subtropical evergreen forest was cleared for human infrastructure uses and showed that it collided with natural local conditions and human conditions as well. It's a long time for a secondary forest succession and much fertilizer to reestablish the site productivity to its normal site. Studies suggest that plant productivity may drive soil respiration variation in both natural and managed ecosystems following a strong disturbance event. Governments need to place more policies or more protections or laws, stricter penalties on illegal logging, so we can stop and preserve this subtropical evergreen forest biome. Thank you.